when we talk of a democracy that is truly people-oriented, the Dr. Kayode Fayemi administration has more than delivered. In the implementation of his administration's 8-point agenda, a lot of ground has been covered. Running of a participatory and all-inclusive government, infrastructure development for the good of our people, modernizing agriculture to create jobs for the teeming youths in the state, a positive turnaround of our education sector, free and qualitative health care for children, the physically challenged, pregnant women and the aged, resuscitation of moribund industry for the economic revival of our state, development of our tourist centers to international standard, gender equality and empowerment, under which our elderly receive monthly allowances. This is truly the era of see and feel. There is no doubt JKF is piloting Ekiti to a new level. Our leader, you continue to draw the line between selfless service and selfish leadership. Ilufemiloye Ekiti will never forget your legacy. JKF, the vision continues.
Thanks for joining us on this month's edition of your popular program, Meet Your Governor. Meet Your Governor is a platform floated by the Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State for a mind's myth with the Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who is already here seated. Your Excellency, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Eli, for having me. Good evening, viewers at home and listeners on the radio.
And well, you know that you've been attending political rallies, and I hope it has not been too hectic. You're looking fresh anyway.
It's part of the price to pay. When you ask people for their votes, the least you could do is at least go to them and meet them in their various communities and ask for the vote in a respectful and genuine manner. So that's what it's all about.
Once again, thanks for coming on the program. As usual, I have my colleagues with me in the studio. Jude Nwabuzo, Galaxy, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Olu.
And Yomi Oshuntokun, BSCS, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Olu.
Need to remind you that the program is relayed on NTA and Progress FM, and of course 91.5 FM, and you are watching us live on EKTV. We'll open the floor with questions from the panelists, after which we will open the port for calls and messages. I am Olupofola, your anchor, and I'm going to take the first questions. And Your Excellency, the election is around the corner, 24 days to go. And well, what we've been afraid of is already glaring us in the face. Violence. We've been recording violence here and there, and this is not what we pray for. As well, you are one of the candidates in the gubernatorial election, and the sitting governor and the chief security officer. What are you doing to make sure that you stem this menace?
Thank you, Olu. You've touched at the very, very critical issue that we're daily confronted with. You would recall that as Chief Security Officer of the state, on the 23rd of March, when this campaign for electioneering broke in accordance with the INEC rules, I made a statewide broadcast. And the essence of that broadcast was that all the gladiators should focus on what they're going to do for Ekiti people. And that is something they can sell without criminality, without brigandage, without violence, because our people are quite discerning. They know what they want, they know what is good for them, and we should grant them the right and civic duty of determining for themselves which way they would like to go. Sadly, there have been skirmishes of various types in the course of this electioneering. I have had cause to appeal to not just the gladiators but also critical stakeholders in law enforcement agencies, the royal fathers, senior figures in our polity who are not even politicians, groups like Igbomeore, Ekiti, E11, and a whole range of them like that, have also had cause to approach the clergy to make these a prayer point in the various churches. But I think above all, what is triggering this, in my view, is the appearance on the scene of people who have antecedents not unrelated to violent past. But we as a people must be determined to say we don't want this election to be racked with violence, and we also don't want external forces to bring violence to the state. If you look at the number of incidents that have occurred, you would also notice that they were not all totally local incidents. The Ikere incident of the last couple of days, last Saturday, you would know that there was an external element in the sense of a governor that came from a neighboring state with all manner of criminals and thugs that accompanied him on his rally. If you compare that, a few days before then, we had 12 governors in this state and countless number of leaders, former heads of states, ministers, and so on and so forth. And there was not a single incident related to violence at that flag presentation by the leadership of our party. So I think we all could relate very well with this in terms of the spate of violence, and without finger pointing or scapegoatism or saying this is something that one party is doing or another. All parties are guilty, I must say, in this particular unfortunate development, but some parties are guiltier than others in that they actually generate this violence. The more often than not, they are not reacting to violence that had been brought upon them, which in many cases that I've also seen would be the case relating to our party. But critically, what we've done about it is to insist that the gladiators themselves must be committed to a code of conduct that is, if you like, presided over by our royal fathers. And two, as the royal fathers gladly also agreed to do yesterday, it calls for a visit probably to the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and the president to convey the general feelings of Ekiti people that, look, as long as this election is free and fair, as long as there is no external interference, as long as there is no sanctioning of violence from the higher echelon of government, then we really shouldn't have anything to be afraid of. If it is focused on programs, on vision, on agenda that we have for the people of Ekiti, none of that should bring about violence. And we'll continue to appeal to our people, particularly to politicians, to eschew violence. And if they don't, then the law enforcement agencies must do their job and ensure that anyone who is caught, no matter whose ox is God, is brought to face the maximum weight of the law. I think that is the least we could do in order to stem the tide of violence. This is a state that has enjoyed 3.5 years of peace. I mean, I've been in office for 3.5 years, and no one could accuse this government of procuring violence or generating violence or perpetrating violence of any kind. So why now? 24 days to election.
Jude.
Yeah. Excellency, I was about asking, you talked about security agency doing their jobs and in trying to curb this violence and the other attacks. But the question I want to ask her, as the chief security officer of the state, there were allegations by a political party that the security agencies they link them to some of this violence. Have you been able to confirm some of this, their link of the security agencies to this violence?
Well, let me say that politicians will be politicians. Politicians would make allegations back and forth. And I have had allegations made against certain elements within the security agencies that are associated in one form or another with violence that had occurred in a number of communities since the inception of this campaign. Let me say that I have also had cause to put those allegations at the table of the security agencies, and I must say that they've been denied by them, that they were associated. Some, interestingly, have come even from within the broader security network too. But these things would happen. Clearly, security agencies have a role to play in building confidence and ensuring neutrality in the relationship with all gladiators. Everybody deserves to be protected. Whether you are of the smallest party or you are of the ruling party, elements within the political frame deserve protection of the law. And the security agencies also have a duty, indeed a responsibility, to ensure that the bounds that are already set by the electoral body in terms of campaigning, in terms of penalties for vandalization, should also be adhered to. Some of us have had cause in the past to campaign that because the spate of violence that accompany elections might be such that the judiciary may not be able to cope, that we need an electoral offences commission that can immediately deal with this thing with dispatch, rather than wait for the magistrate court, the police to investigate, the high court to take on board these difficult things. Because if you don't set an example, you're going to witness an escalation of these violent tendencies, and we must put a stop to it. That's why law enforcement agencies should not even allow themselves to be put in a situation in which they are now accused of being partisan for or against any of the players on the scene. And we also must help them as political players by adhering to what I call a code of conduct, which must be enforceable. And if you're found to have broken the law in any way, then there are penalties in the statute books dealing with criminality, dealing with thuggery, dealing with brigandage. You don't even need new laws. The laws are there. The sanctions are clear. I think they should just enforce them.
Yeah,
the question. My question would be far away from election violence now, but still has to do with election. The local government creation that is ongoing, the committee that is ongoing. Some people have alleged that it is an election gimmick, that because you want to win an election, that's why you want to create more local government areas. If that is not true, Your Excellency, how many local governments are we expecting to be created at the end of the day? Because, for instance, Ado is calling for like 8 local governments. So, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Yomi. Well, you know, I always say something when I come to these programs. Facts are sacred. Opinion is free. Anyone could say anything about why Fayemi is doing whatever. And I should have the tolerance and capacity to explain myself, because communication is key. This local government creation initiative did not come from me. Let's start from there. I was responding to overwhelming demand across the state. I didn't set out. You will not pick the 8-point agenda and find local government creation anywhere there. But I've also said that this is a listening government. I don't have all the answers to Ekiti challenges. I'm prepared to also take on board ideas that come from our people in terms of what they consider to be their own genuine yearnings. And this happens to be one of those yearnings that I find in all my town hall and village square meetings. I go to communities and people say, we want local government here, we want local government B, we want local government C. Repeatedly for 2-3 years, I kept getting these demands unsolicited. And I felt, okay, if this is something that people are really genuinely interested in, let us investigate it. Let's explore it without prejudice. I haven't even said I'm creating any local government yet. All I have done was to set up a panel to take on board the yearnings of our people. And I think at the last count, 79 memoranda came from various communities in Ekiti. Having received those memoranda, they then decided that, okay, we want to visit you. Explain to us why you should have a local government. How much revenue do you generate in this place? How many communities want to come together? Because there are clear criteria: land mass, population, IGR, and so on and so forth. And this is a panel that is an independent panel. And I think the stage at which they are is this visit to the various communities. I cannot answer that question in all honesty, Yomi, as to how many local governments would come out of this process. I have to really listen to the outcome of this process. And the good thing is, almost everybody is coming to the realization that local government creation is a state business. The national conference, the confab that is ongoing, has just come out with a position that is overwhelmingly supported by all of them, that local government should no longer be the business of federal government. It should be the business of the states. So what would be the number would depend on what comes out of the process.
Yes, Your Excellency, there's another whisper, and there's something terrible about our whisper. It gets distorted as it's being passed. This whisper is in form of a text message, and that it says that you are paying politics with the 27.5% teachers pecuniary allowance that you even boasted, that you don't need their votes, and you don't even need the votes of civil servants.
I think it is unfortunate that everything is fair game in politics. It is really, really unfortunate. And the Ekiti that I grew up in, things weren't as bad as this in terms of the way people just peddle unfounded rumors. What do they mean by playing politics with pecuniary allowance? Again, let's go back to the facts. There was 27.5% pecuniary allowance here in Ekiti State up till 2012. We then approved relativity pay for core civil servants. But members of the teaching profession, through their union, decided that they wanted to benefit from the 33% relativity pay. At the time, we were very clear in the negotiations with the JNC, the Joint Negotiating Committee of the trade union movement, that this cannot be a double whammy. If you want relativity pay, you drop pecuniary allowance, because the relativity pay really belongs to core civil servants, not to the general public service. And they opted for that. Of course, no sooner had we done that, 6 months to 8 months after the minimum wage came on. Of course, once they got the minimum wage and felt that everything had evened again, 27.5% was supposed to be a special allowance for the teaching profession, agreed to by the governors collectively before my time, but I'm bound by it. So once minimum wage came, the teachers said, look, we still demand our 27.5% because this is what sets us apart from other workers. We said, look at our finances. We do not have all this amount, but we eventually agreed on the payment of 16.5%, which we also agreed that once we look at our finances and there's an improvement, we would pay the balance of 11%. That's just what has happened. But you know, to people whose word is not their bond, when I made the statement about pecuniary allowance completion at the stadium barely 3 weeks ago, oh, they said, he would never pay it. It's not going to happen. He's just playing politics with it. Now, when the teachers started getting their alerts and found the money, it's not a coincidence that text message you talked about started going around the state immediately after secondary school teachers received their alert yesterday. Because this is a constituency that these detractors bank on, that they think will give them some kind of advantage in this election. That is why you would then go ahead and say such a silly thing that Fayemi said this. Where was it said? Who were the journalists there? Where did they report it? Which newspaper is called Ekiti News?
It's a new newspaper in the name of politics.
It's a new newspaper in the name of politics. But then you have papers that have correspondents in this state. I am yet to read this thing in The Nation or The Guardian or Sun or any of the mainstream papers. But they've even gone beyond that. Once that was denied yesterday by somebody from the campaign organization, another test has been circulating today that E11 says Fayemi should sack local government workers when he comes back to government in his second term. I think this is irresponsible, and they are preying on the ignorance and gullibility of some sections of the populace. Unfortunately for them, they have no track record to justify any of this. The people who call themselves Ore Mekunu, I always say, let's do a factual check. You were in government 2003 to 2006. No single increment was paid to teachers anywhere in this state or to any other worker in this state. You can approach trade union leaders, let them come out with the benefits that they had received in the last 10 years in this state, and I'll give you factual analysis. Increase under Otunbani Adebayo, increase under Governor Shegoni, increase, in fact, this 27.5% we're talking about came under the 3-month interregnum of Tunji Adeyemi, and then 3-time increase under this government. Relativity pay, minimum wage, rural teachers allowance, core subject allowance. So who is Ore Mekunu as far as teachers are concerned? Is it the person who ignores you and sells dummy to you, or somebody who you can trace factually what he has done? We've recruited more teachers in this state. We have not sacked a single teacher since we got into office. Those are the facts, not the opinion. So let's stick to facts. Ekiti people, I'm sure they know better. So they'll keep getting this test. This is not the last. You will keep getting these fake test messages that will say Fayemi said this, Fayemi said that, somebody said this. It's all lies. It's because they are so badly exposed. They have no way of convincing sensible, intelligent, decent Ekiti people that a government that has served the interests of the people is not a government that loves the people.
If I may ask, did you travel outside the country over the weekend?
No, I was in Zamfara over the weekend.
Okay, because there was another allegation that you traveled down.
I saw that, the £2 million allegation.
Well, so I was trying to
You
investigate.
see, these are the kind of silly lies that dominate the media, particularly social media. You know what they call social media is just this irresponsible stream of idle gossip that some just sit down and concoct. Of course, I'm a public official, so I'm fair game. I don't even have a problem with people lying. It's like the Phantom University in Ghana that all of you have heard about, that Governor Fayemi has, and the estate in Ghana, which has no address, which has no concrete information that you can share with people, yet it exists. This is a government that has been in office for 3.5 years. And in 3.5 years, there has been no single visit of EFCC to this state. No single visit of ICPC in this state. It's a government that has a freedom of information law. You can check everything that we're doing. If you are in doubt, you don't need social media. Just come and ask, and we'll give you the information. Let us even assume that Governor Fayemi traveled. How does that advance the cause of any opposition figure? If Governor Fayemi traveled and he took £2 million on his travel to a country where you cannot bring in more than £10,000 by law, the law is very clear to anybody. You can peddle these lies to people who have no knowledge of what goes on in the world. So where did he put this money? £2 million? £2 million is not small money. The highest denomination in the UK is £50. Try putting £2 million in a suitcase and tell me how you are going to carry it through an airport that you will not be found out. I mean, why do people indulge in this falsehood? If you want to challenge Governor Fayemi, challenge me on my program. Tell Ekiti people he has done this, I can do it much better. He has not done this, we're going to do this. What saddens me about this campaign is that it has been completely bereft of ideas. Completely bereft of ideas. A kindergarten kid knows the 8-point agenda of this government. They can recite it off head. So I am the one running on the record. Challenge the 8-point agenda. Don't say I'm going to revive Iri bricks factory that has been revived. I'm going to make teachers permanent secretaries who are permanent secretaries already. Why do you want to clone what Fayemi is doing? If you have better, fresher ideas, sell it to Ekiti people. That this is why I think I'm much better than this guy, because I will run a government that will do this for you. It's about Ekiti people. We're talking about how we will improve the lives of our people. But they're not interested in that. They're interested in sound bites. They're interested in make-believe. They're interested in what our people will call shagbelujuyoyo, rather than substance, in order to improve the lives of the people.
Yes, Your Excellency, we'll quickly take a break before we come back and I'll get questions from other panelists in the studio today. Now, we'll go for the break and we shall be back. Please stay with us.
I would say there is substantial development. There has been some neglect for too many years. We have been in the backward for many decades. And the allocation to us from Abuja don't compare favorably with others. But the important thing is that we are having something. And another important thing is that something is being used judiciously.
There is no way that people like me will not even smile and say, thank God for Ekiti State. And so, most importantly, I know that if this continues over the set of time, then of course, this administration will certainly go places. And we will come back and come back and come back if it is allowed.
It is too late for me to call white, grayish white, or black, whitish gray, in order to be able to maneuver out and say, I didn't actually say it is white, black. So, he's doing things, he's propagating it, he's calling attention to it. So, I've heard, I have seen. From what I have seen, Fayemi is working and he's listing what he's working on and inviting people to bear witness to what he's doing.
If his predecessors had done what he is doing now, we will not be repeating what has been destroyed. We would have been building on them. Something. And one of those, call it bias, that we want to witness this young man's 8-year tenure. How can you tell you if I die the following day I'm fulfilled?
His government is one of the best sent by God. He did the work, before he became governor, he started it. From that time, we know that he is going to perform well, and he's doing it. He did it for everybody, whether the people is in the party of Fayemi or not. What we give others is what he will give you.
Now we are seeing good governance in action. Good, maybe the first year, maybe the good governance was on paper. Now translating those ideas into action. What we were not seeing before. Quality work. As I said, if people say you are stingy, but you are spending the people's money for the people, for the projects that will last, quality projects. Please continue to be stingy for the benefit of all.
Thanks for staying tuned to your popular program, Meet Your Governor. Now the port is open. You have the opportunity to call and send text messages and talk to your governor, who is already seated and waiting to get responses from you. Your Excellency, before I read the first message there, I want to ask you, are you stingy, and do you still want to continue to be stingy?
Well, I don't know what, my Lord Bishop cannot be wrong. He's my spiritual father, so I would not like to respond to what he said. But he qualified it. He said, people say you are stingy. If it is true, continue to be stingy for the benefit of the people. But he was reporting what others said. And I'm sure there are differences of opinion as to whether one is stingy or not stingy. But stingy about the resources of the state, it's the people's commonwealth. All I'm doing is holding it in trust for them. I'm just a manager of the treasury of Ekiti. And I don't think somebody who has done all of what you've heard me talk about, increment of about teachers almost earn double what they used to earn in Ekiti now in 3 years. I can't be stingy and do that. Of course, I don't go to Fajuyi and throw money at people. You will never find me do it. If people are looking for that, it will not happen. I don't come from that school of politics, but I will do what I know would advance the human development of our people. So when we pay social security to the elderly, that cannot be said to be stingy. When we give free health care, it's not stingy.
Your Excellency, we already having calls. Hello, who is on the line? Hello, hello, is calling. You are on to the governor.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Hello.
Hello. Go on. Well, the governor is listening to you.
I'm calling from New Jersey. I'm so proud to come from Ekiti. I'm watching TV right now on internet, and my choice actually knows no bounds. This is something good that from USA I can watch home now.
How are you, sir? How is New Jersey?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. The governor is talking to you.
Oh,
he's responding.
Your Excellency.
How are you, sir? How is New Jersey?
Fine, fine. It's a beautiful morning here, and I'm so happy what you are doing about that. I'm from Authority.
Oh, well.
Yes. And I want to congratulate you. I want to tell you that what you are doing, you are promoting my state. Now we can watch it in USA. Anybody around the world can see what is happening in my land. And I want to praise you again and let you know that whatever it is going to take people like us, it will be coming home to vote.
That would be wonderful.
By the grace of God, he will come back.
Amen. Thank you.
Our eyes and allow somebody of Fayose's personality to rule my state. That is why some of us have to come back home. We have made arrangements. We are going to get what it takes. We have registers and we're coming home to vote. Well done, Your Excellency.
Thank you, sir.
The Lord will continue to bless you, and by the grace of God, your acceptance is sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, that's station of creativity for you.
Well, I must really commend you. I've had cause to say this to the DG, that the strides you're making here really makes one proud. So if somebody in New Jersey wakes up in the morning listening and watching EKTV, I mean, what else could we ask for? It may not really be that important to many of us who are here, but when you live outside home and the people you see are not people of your own skin pigmentation every morning, you miss home a lot more than the rest of us do. And this must be very heartwarming to the gentleman who just spoke. And for us, it's also one of the positives about this government, that we're able to connect Ekiti people in the diaspora with what is going on at home, beyond what they read on the internet.
All right, Your Excellency, now the message. Dear Governor, we appreciate your disposition to giving women opportunities in your administration, but the Ekiti State Veterinary Department has no single serving female in your office. None of the 2 female veterinary doctors who are among vet doctors interviewed so far were among those appointed. Duro Jaye Catherine Adwekiti. Greetings, sir. We the Ekiti General Assembly. Maybe you respond to the first one first.
Well, very quickly, my response to the first one is simple. Generally, government sets policy. The Equal Opportunities Bill that has become law is one that ought to enable us, including in our civil service, to give more room to women. However, giving more room to women is not the same as not appointing competent people. If there are veterinary doctors who took an exam or interview, just as she said, and have not been appointed or found appointable, I wouldn't know that. I don't deal with implementation of policy. There must be criteria that had been set for that interview that took place. I would wish that more women in the veterinary department could be appointed. But now that she's raised this, what I can assure her is I will dig into this and find out precisely what happened in the veterinary department. But I have no knowledge of this, so it would be wrong of me to just give any definitive answer to the question that she's asked.
Greetings, sir. We, the Ekiti General Assembly Forum, Egbe Omo Ekiti, eulogize your great works. May God be with you, Prince Toyin Akimbade, Acting International President.
Okay, there's nothing to respond to that. Thank you, Mr. Akimbade.
Yes, Jude.
Yeah, Excellency, I just want to ask a question concerning the recent rumor also peddled that you went about telling traditional rulers not to receive Mr. President when he comes around. I don't know how true this is, and
I try to respond to
Your
this.
Excellency, before you take that question, let's pick the call. Hello, who is on the line?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
My name is Open. I'm speaking from Madrid.
Okay, right. You are on to the governor.
Your Excellency.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello, go
I
on.
can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
We have seen the water cooking that we have been doing in the state, and Ekiti State as before. Well, there is only one thing I want to advise the government, especially itself, is that if the party or if the government is bringing any idea or trying to bring any issue, and the people that you want to talk to or the people that want to implement the issue law are saying no, I think it's better for us, the party and the government, to just shift ground on the issue so that the party should be continued and the good work that the government is doing to continue. I don't know if the government understand what I mean by the issue. Is that if we are doing anything that want to implement something on the people, and they said no, the best thing for us is to step down that thing and bring another issue, or call them together. Let's sit together and talk about the issue, the way of moving forward, the way to move forward, or the way to solve the problem. So I think if we are doing that, the work will continue and there won't be any problem. I think that is what we need as government. So I pray God will help you, governor and your government. The second time it's love by God's grace. And I pray for you. Every time we pray, we normally pray about especially the good work that we are doing. All of us are seeing it. It is what we see, and if I even touch it, it's not that maybe telling stories, telling lies. So I'm urging you not to listen to anybody, just continue with your good work. And I pray that good Lord will continue to help you. Go through the prayer. Please, yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, you didn't give any specific example of a position that our government took that was not born out of consultation or overwhelming reception by the people. The point you were making is that government is about people, and I agree with you that if there are things that we would like to see done and the people are not happy about, we probably should let go of such. And I'm sure you can refer to one or two things that have happened in the course of the last 3.5 years that demonstrate that I shared those views myself.
Yes, to Jude's question.
Yeah.
Well, Jude, I responded to your question just yesterday when I met with the Royal Fathers. I had cause to respond to it that in the first instance, I received no information that Mr. President was visiting Ekiti. Yes. And if he was visiting Ekiti, I should be the first to know. The president will not come to any part of Nigeria without communicating this with the chief security officer and the governor of such a state. And since the president never communicated to me and the presidency never informed me that Mr. President was visiting Ekiti, why should I dignify such lies with a response? It never happened. There was no cause for it to happen. And in the event that the president wanted to come to Ekiti and would like to meet with traditional rulers, that would be part of the communication that will come to me, that in the course of my visit, Mr. Governor, I would love to meet with the Ekiti traditional rulers. Please organize this as part of my itinerary. When the president last visited here, his office informed me, the proprietor of the university he visited informed me. I went to receive the president. So he's the president of Nigeria. This is beyond party or partisanship. But I know you have people who have created exaggerated impression of themselves, either to Ekiti people or to members of their party. And when they cannot fulfill that impression that have been created, they had to look for an excuse to justify why they did not see Mr. President in Ekiti. That's simply what people should look at. It's not true.
Yeah, you're next.
All right, so many things you have said here, and you said it's not true, and you have justified it. But one thing is true. All right.
Hello?
Hello?
Yep. Who is on the line? Calling from where? You're on to His Excellency.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
It's
echoing.
Àwọn owó nìyẹn. Non-teaching staff.
Oh, non-teaching staff. Okay. Who are in the secondary school system or primary school system? Well, let me say that pecuniary allowance is a specialization allowance. It is like what the doctors and health workers call conhes and conmes. When it was agreed that those who are teachers, because the 27.5% is made up of different components. There is examination component to it, marking of grading of students' scripts. There is the inconvenience component to it. I can't really tell you specifically what is what, but different parts of the 27.5% refers to different part of the teaching profession, and it is also only for teachers who are qualified teachers, not just graduates or anyone who teaches. So if it is not applied to non-teaching allowance, I suppose non-teaching allowance would have to put up their own case for such an allowance to be paid to them, and government would have to look at it. But this is something that has been done collectively. It is not unique to Ekiti. It's been done across the board in the federation.
Yes, you're talking about something that is true.
It's true, yeah. You're saying if something is true, and that is your marriage with Engineer Shegoni. The marriage came to a lot of political observers as a very rude shock. One would have...
a rude shock or a pleasant surprise?
Well, a pleasant surprise, whichever way.
Okay.
But to many people, that was the way it was, whether it was a pleasant surprise or a rude shock, you know. And one could not but ask, how come about this marriage? What led to this marriage? And what are we going to benefit from this marriage?
Well, you know, for me, I have always believed that the very best in politics and society must always find a meeting ground. It was Chief Obafemi Awolowo that once said that you would have a synthesis out of the thesis and antithesis of the left and right of Nigerian politics. Engineer Shegoni could not even really be described as a right-wing politician. He may have belonged to a right-wing political platform. We were together. People often forget that Engineer Shegoni and I belong to a group called E11, a group of Ekiti stakeholders. We also were in the same political party before he opted to go to the PDP, where he was originally before coming to that AC platform that we both were members of. And even in a period that many Ekiti and other Nigerians might have deemed as a period of difference in our political orientation and ideology, we were never disagreeable. We were always in touch. We always communicated. All the years in court, and Shegoni and I, we were talking. Because for me, politics is about people. Clearly, Engineer Shegoni ran a government in this state that had the interest of the masses at heart. That's what he did with his microcredit program. That's what he did with his initiative on infrastructure and on several other things that he did. What we are doing is also clearly on a welfareist agenda. So our coming together is a meeting of minds, intellectually and politically. And I think Ekiti people are going to be the better for it. If you have a political party in which you have our father, Evangelist Dele Olumilua, Governor Niyi Adebayo, Governor Segun Oni, and the incumbent governor in the same political family, that can only be better for Ekiti people. And you have, well, one person outside of that fold who is perfectly understandable why he's outside of the fold, because you can trace the pedigree of the four people I just mentioned in this land. And if we say we are a land of honor, people of honor would always come together at some point. That's what you describe or define as a root shock. I don't think so. I think Engineer Segun Oni is a patriot. I think he's come over to this side and he said something. I don't know if you listened to his speech at the stadium when I was receiving my flag. A very profound statement that anyone that he could not show to his child as a role model, he would not want to be associated with the person. And I think that defines what has brought us together. I don't want to say more than that.
Yes, Your Excellency, we have another text message, and it says, sir, I want to ask what you've done to Ayo Fayose, that he hates you so much. Three of you are running for governorship, but it is Kayode Fayemi that he is shouting about. Ejowo sir, kini e fi se man yen? John Alatishe Arekiti.
Well, I think that question really for John is better directed at the gentleman he referred to. I have a policy, I have an attitude, and I know I've said it here before, I've said it in several other fora. Anyone who has occupied the seat of the governor in this state deserves to be respected at any point in time. I would not sit anywhere and denigrate anyone who has been in this exalted position, because I'll be denigrating myself and diminishing the office. So my issues with the PDP candidate in this election are programmatic. They're not personal. As a matter of fact, we could even describe ourselves as acquaintances. So I talk to him when I get the opportunity to do so, and I'm sure if he gets the opportunity to do so, he will talk to me. But this is about making the lives of our people better. Who has the ideas? Who has the commitment? Who has the compassion? Who has the genuine interest of Ekiti people at heart that will make things better for them? I think this is what this is about. And character is going to be critical to what happens in this process. So if it is true that I am the one that Mr. Fayose targets, I'm also the one on the seat. I think it's to be expected that I should be targeted, because if you want the seat, you're going to have to get rid of me from the seat in order to get to the seat, and you must throw everything that you have at it, but throw it in a decent manner, throw it in a manner that Ekiti people can really differentiate between the wheat and the chaff. Don't just go out there peddling lies, because lies will not rescue Ayofaoshi or any other person for that matter in this election from being defeated. What will rescue him is to provide the people with tangible, palpable, independently verifiable evidence of how to make their lives better. If you cannot do that, then it's not going to work. Ekiti people would need to differentiate between a promissory note and a cashed check. I have offered a cashed check. This is what I have done in education. This is what I have done in healthcare. This is what I have done in social security. This is what we've done in infrastructure road. This is what we have done in tourism. Tangible, palpable, evidence-based, independently verifiable projects. So if you're going to challenge me, you are going to challenge the facts of what we have done. If you say I am a rogue, you are going to provide an evidence of what I have stolen and who has taken me to task for this. If you're not prepared to do that, you're just going to be peddling rumor. He says he's going to sack workers when he comes back in second term. He doesn't need teachers to vote for him. People are far too intelligent for that.
But the PDP candidates has challenged you to a debate, and are you game?
Am I game? Let me put it on record here that the debate that ought to happen in this process, this electioneering process, and I know you've been a victim here in this broadcasting organization. Channels Television has informed me that the only reason why they're not doing the debate is that they have not been able to get the candidate of the PDP. And they don't want to go ahead with a debate that is just going to be a monologue for the governor of Ekiti State. And they want all the major parties to come out. So I am challenging him on record in your studio. Let him make himself available. You have a program. I believe you've been running a series. Ekiti Decide. Governor Ayofaoshi should come. If he doesn't trust you, you should let's go to an independent place. Let them call independent correspondents from a variety of news organizations to come and run the debate. There is an election debate group coordinated by Chief Taiwo Alimi. This is a group that has done election debate, not just here. They did it in Anambra, they did it in Lagos, they did it in Ondo. They have offered to do an election debate here in Ekiti. What has been the response of my brother Ayofaoshi? Let him come out. It's not enough for him to be telling you that he's challenging me to a debate. I was the one who challenged him first. He said he wanted me to walk on the streets of Ekiti, of Ado Ekiti with me. That's fine, but that's not substance driven. I don't engage in tittle-tattle. If he's sure of what he wants to do, he should come out. Let's have a debate on policy, not on personality. I will not get into personality argument with him. We'll have a debate on policy, on programs, on what he did when he was in office 3.5 years. Luckily, I've been in office for 3.5 years, so it's equal. You can test us on what we've both done, and we'll be able to come before Ekiti people and let them decide. So I'm using the opportunity of your meet your governor to throw a challenge at my brother. I hope he picks it up and he responds to your opportunity.
All right, Your Excellency. Jude, you have the floor.
Excellency, the mystery behind this race is that at the end of the election, the three main actors, I'm talking about the three key political parties in this race.
There are 18 actors in this race.
Okay,
there are no main actors.
Okay, when I mean main
according
actors,
to INEC, 18 actors.
But three main political parties.
Well, your qualification.
Okay, sir. The question is, at the end of this election, these three parties that always are in the news for maybe one
the
violence or the other, you discover that the actors, they will come together. But what happens to the followers? This is the question people ask when they go into politics. Why is it so that at the end you get to meet each other, the spirit of sportsmanship, you talk after the election, you greet each other, you play, but the followers, they still carry on that within them? Why is it like that? Why is politics being played like that in this part of the world?
Well, I can speak for members of my party. We don't play politics of bitterness. And I think leadership has a big role to play in this, because people often model themselves after the leader in their political organization. I have never believed that disagreement on fundamental policy or programmatic agenda should translate to blood feud. My own politics has never believed in that. And that is why I don't understand political violence at all. However, people also carry long-standing wounds, and sometimes they're not able to get over that. If you have come, and I recall that you were the one who snatched the ballot box in front of my house, in my polling unit, in the short term, it may be difficult for some people to get over that, because they're concentrating on that particular issue, not on the bigger picture that might have emanated after that particular incident. And I think what we have demonstrated, Engineer Oni and myself, to which Yomi was talking about earlier, is to really let people know that politics should not be a do or die business. There's no reason, after this whole process is over, that Governor Fayose, Mr. Fayemi Bamidele, my younger brother, Kole Ajayi, who says I'm now a foreigner, even though he was my college brother in Christ school, so cannot come together in the interest of Ekiti. We may still have personal differences, and we're probably still likely going to have personal differences. I mean, Governor Oni has not come to tell anyone that Kayode Fayemi is perfect. I have not heard him say that anywhere.
He did say it, but he said it's not about the issue of perfection.
Okay. So, but he says, in the interest of Ekiti, I believe at this point in time, he is best placed to take Ekiti forward. That's not to say he doesn't have differences or that he doesn't have grudges to nurse, but he's risen above that, and that's leadership. That is what I think the message is to all of us, including our followers.
Your Excellency, but you see, the issue of still talking about election violence, the use of live ammunition scares women and children. And Your Excellency, I think that honestly there should be much more concerted effort to be put in place, so that eventually, because if it continues at this rate, you may find out that on the election day, it is only people who have the heart that will go out to vote.
I actually think that is the agenda.
Okay.
For some people who know that this election is already lost on a purely one person, one vote basis, there is no way they can win it. The agenda is to really do what you have just said, Yomi, to scare people away, to intimidate the voters and ensure that they do not come to the polling units. And that's why I agree with you that we need a whole concerted effort to stem the tide of violence, to insist on the right thing being done, to lock this place down on election day against thugs and all manner of people who have no business being in Ekiti. Because you keep hearing all sorts of funny names. Somebody says it's Ade Basket, it's Fadageri, is Sunday Igboho. All these ridiculous people who find themselves into a peaceful state and they think it's fair game. This is the time, it's the season for making money on thuggery and nothing else. But I want to assure them that they're going to get it in Ekiti. We have news for them. Not only would they be apprehended, they would be forgotten in jail if they come here to perpetuate violence during the June to the 21st election.
Yes, Your Excellency, we have another text message, and it says, Your Excellency, Evangelist Olumilua is a leader in APC. His wife is in Labour Party, and the daughter is deputy governorship candidate in a Accord Party. What is your take on this?
What's my take on what?
On the message.
It just demonstrates that this is a very democratic family. What do you mean my take on it?
That's the question.
Are they not adults? Is there anybody that you've mentioned there who is under 18? So why is it not... this, for me, it's maturity, really. I think we should commend the Olumilua family for maturity. If indeed that is what has happened in that family, you're claiming that Governor Olumilua is a leader in APC, no doubt. I just mentioned that myself. He is. He's our father in our party. His daughter is in another party out of our own free will, without anybody forcing her into the party. I know that it may be difficult for us to relate to that in our environment, but I don't think there's anything wrong. Let the daughter come to the family and canvass her position for Accord Party. Let the old man do his own duty as a loyal member of the APC, and let whoever is in Labour Party in the family also do his or her duty. But I can tell you that it's not just the father who is APC, at least I can count that. Another Olumilua is a senior special assistant in my government. Another one is a supervisor in the Kere local government under the party APC. So I think you should commend them. I mean, this is political maturity at its best. But of course, it also means that if Labour wins, the Olumiluas will not lose out. If Accord wins, they will benefit. And of course, APC will continue to be in government. I can predict that. So the Olumilua will continue to enjoy the benefit of government. So it's a good thing, if you ask me.
Yes, let me quickly read this, another text message. The entire Surulere community, besides Trade Fair Complex, Ekiti, unanimously express profound gratitude to our amiable, hardworking and visionary governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, known as People's Governor, who recently allocated a brand new transformer for Surulere community. It is axiomatic and unarguable proof that 4 + 4 is equal to 8. We want to assure you of our maximum and unalloyed support during election in that community. We are solidly behind you. APC change, APC change, APC change federal. You are truly a promise keeper. Kodrosoke Okelowa. Surulere community appreciate your kind gesture. This is more like a political advert.
I would think so too. I mean, what has Transformer got to do with all that you have read?
Well, I know that if the corporation want to surcharge me, I know you're here to bail me out. Yeah, Jude, your question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Excellency, recently you commissioned the optic fiber and I know too well, I'm not surprised that somebody was calling from New Jersey, because by the time you also launch the CCTV, when they let the password known, people can watch from anywhere in the world. But I want to ask, what actually propelled this government to do that? Considering that presently now, I think Lagos, apart from Lagos, I don't know if River State have done that. I don't know what actually propelled this government.
I don't think we've ever hidden our passion for an ICT-driven governance in Ekiti State. I have consistently maintained that the unique selling point of this state is knowledge. This is what we have always been known for. And that is why, for me, sometimes it's unfortunate when people want to make me defend the fact that I'm an academic, I'm an intellectual, I'm not a on the street politicians, as some say. But who is more on the street? Is this somebody who makes technology accessible to people? And there are different components. The fiber optic cabling, which we started with Ado Ekiti, but which is going around the state by the time we come back, by God's grace, makes Ekiti a destination of choice. It means if you want to do business, this would provide you with the fastest international communication network probably in the country. It means you can access your information faster than when you are waiting for 30 minutes to get connection on the internet. And it means that when we start the Ekiti Knowledge Zone near Afe Babalola University, we can do telemedicine. Students at EXU can even receive lectures at the University of Harvard, sitting in their own classrooms here in Ado Ekiti, connected to a professor via the internet who is delivering a lecture that they're benefiting from. Maybe I'm a bit faster than my constituency. Some have said that to me, that the problem with you is that you are not at the level our people are. And I say, what level are our people? This is a state renowned for education. This is a state that has produced the very best in every field. The first professor of mathematics in this country. One of the most renowned neurosurgeons in this country, Professor Kayode Fayemi. In almost every field, you have had an exemplar. Just 3 days ago in Ibadan, a book was launched on Professor J.F. Adeajayi, written by Professor Akinjide Oshuntoko and Professor Michael Omolewa. So, knowledge would forever govern ignorance. But you now have people who want ignorance to govern knowledge, who want to celebrate ignorance and tell Ekiti people that all that they should be looking for is illiteracy, not knowledge. And we clearly must not accept this. That's what that initiative is about. And what is most important about the initiative is the number of jobs that it would generate. You will recall that when I was campaigning 6-7 years ago, I said Ekiti will become the Bangalore of Africa. And Bangalore of Africa, anybody who knows what Bangalore is in India, in the ICT world, would understand what I'm saying. And that's the beginning with what we're seeing in the fiber optic sector.
This Excellency, we've really exhausted our time, but I'll still take you on this digital education. Yeah. Novel idea. And but there's been a feedback that the teachers are still fumbling with the laptops because they were only given a week training. What is the government doing to make sure that they have the knowledge and they're able to impart the knowledge into the student?
Actually, I think it's part of the same question that Jude asked. I think the teachers have done very well. I mean, from no knowledge to quite competent use of the computer. training would be a continuous process, and we would do what we can to ensure that those who are teaching ICT beyond the general use are also specialized teachers. So we are in the process of recruiting more ICT teachers, computer science teachers, so that they can specifically provide this digital education in the laboratories that would be set up.
Yeah, Your Excellency, that's how far we'll be able to go today. But before you go, yesterday was Children's Day. It was low-key because of the security situation.
Yeah.
So what is your words of encouragement to the young ones, future leaders?
I'm actually I'm stupefied that we're still looking for these young women, these young girls from Chibok, and I believe that the first duty of government is the security of its citizens. We must do everything within our powers to retrieve these girls, bring them back home, and ensure that our children do not have to suffer or worry about their safety and security in the course of receiving education. We must do it here in Ekiti, we must do it collectively in Nigeria, and I think all of us must continue to mobilize world opinion against this monster called Boko Haram in a manner that Nigeria can have its sanity restored. It's a critical issue, and I mean, all children must be extremely worried, and I was really impressed with the Ekiti children yesterday for really coming out and boldly insisting that they too do not consider themselves free until the Chibok girls are retrieved from the bondage of Boko Haram menace.
Yeah, Your Excellency, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Jude, thanks for coming on the program. And the only woman in the house, Yomi, thanks for coming on the program. That's this month's edition of Meet Your Governor. Joe Valente, God willing, you will be our next guest on this program next month, Your Excellency.
Next month, what date is that?
It will be June.
Okay, I guess June 28th, yes. 29th next month. Okay, by God's grace.
And to the people out there on the 21st, remember, go out and cast your votes, and make sure that we pray that God would guide our fingers to thumb the right candidate, because this election is going to be a test of our honor, integrity in Ekiti State. And we pray that God will give us the best leader. Next month, we'll see. Good day. And we have to acknowledge those people are on the entourage of the governor, Mr. Olayinka Oyebode, Chief Press Secretary. Thanks for coming on the program. Elder Idowu Adebiyi, member, BSS board. Thanks for coming on the program. Alhaji Jamiu Mojid, DG, Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State. Thanks for coming. Mrs. Oganya Simmons, GMNTA at Ekiti. Mr. Shola Adewale, Manager, News, Program, Progress FM, representing GM Progress FM. Mr. Martin Zayola, GM Adaba FM, Akure, and Babs Daramola, SA Media. Thanks for coming. Next month we will be back, and thanks for being there. Good day.
Uruhera kan lérí káwíjẹ́ náà sọ̀pínlẹ̀ Èkìtì dojú ogun olúgbà òdìbò òsùpè gómìnà kẹ́hìnbọ̀ lọ́nà lópínlẹ̀ Èkìtì kété o ìmọ̀mọ̀jọ́ ni kọ́ni látàbújá yá kó gìrìgìrì báyìí lópínlẹ̀ Èkìtì kí mọ̀ bẹ̀rù kí mọ̀ ṣojo ṣe ni kí n pọ̀ pọ̀ bù ṣe kókù kan ṣe pẹ̀lú àṣìṣe pọ̀ kí n tún dìbò rí dókítà John Kayode Fayemi lábẹ́ àṣẹ ẹgbẹ́ APC ó ti tukọ̀ pínlẹ̀ Èkìtì láre sógun láre sọ tẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ kẹ́tùbọ̀ bá tukọ̀ pínlẹ̀ Èkìtì á lọ kí mùdùmùdù ìjọba àlàáfíà kí gómìnà ṣe lọ yóò yọrí sebúté ògo káàmọ́ tún kọ́kọ́ yéyìn káàmọ́ máa yè gbà yẹn yan òjẹ̀lú yàn. láti tún mi ìbòrà kolúkúrú muṣu. kí n já wí hàn. yóò gbórí erin lítsọ́kótó. kó gbórí ẹfọ̀n lékàfàǹṣà. kó gbórí àgbáǹrere lópinlẹ̀ Ondo kó tì á. kúrò ọ̀nì bẹ́ẹ̀ bá gbórí ìdérègbè lópinlẹ̀ Èkìtì. àtẹ̀sí. dókítà John Kayode Fayemi ọmọlúàbí kọ́lọ́pọ̀lọ́ pípé. ní kí kẹtẹrin tún dìbò yàn padà súpò yìí gómìnà lópinlẹ̀ Èkìtì lẹ́lẹ́rẹ̀kejì. kí hàn olùkóró Àbújá máa yá kọ́lé kakí ṣèrùbà yín. ìhàn àgbáríjọpọ̀ ọmọ àyẹ̀ lópinlẹ̀ Èkìtì. ní wíkí bá ti dìbò retí kí n ró tí. ẹ ti gbọ̀n jìjì.
When we talk of a democracy that is truly people-oriented, the Dr. John Kayode Fayemi administration has more than delivered.